Rigging. Man. Subject everyone's been wanting me to start on. Alright, so this is my model I made for the CG Chat Grand Theft Auto competition. It's 1500 polys and a 256 by 256 map. So it's going to need some... rigging will be fairly easy, but I'll still be able to teach you all of the techniques. I'm going to be using the Physique Modifier. Alright. I've already set up my biped, scaled it all to the right size. My animation is only 40 long. Alright. Now, one of the animators here at Terminal Reality has been kind enough to make me a stretch animation. So I've already got an animation to test out the rigging with. Alright, so I'm going to add a Physique Modifier and initialize. I need to make sure that I reset Xforms. Always do that right before adding a Physique Modifier. I want rigid 2 links, and I want to turn off continuity, and I'll show you why. Alright, so now I want to take my biped and take it out of figure mode, and it goes into my animation. So here's my animation. It stretches all out so I can see that everything's rigged. So I can now hide all of the biped objects and work only with my model. Alright, now as you can see, it's not rigged at all. Hardly anything's moving. Alright, so I'm going to go into the Physique Modifier and I'll show you those things that I just did. If I go to the links, you can see that the links are all straight lines from one to the next. With continuity on, it does this curve. So I want continuity off. Everything kind of looks like a McDonald's bendy straw in a bad way with that turned on. I also want to go into all of the duplicate links, or the ones that are not going to be used for that I don't want anything on, and uncheck active, so now nothing will be able to be rigged from there. And I don't want this one. Yeah, I don't want this one. I don't want this one or this one. And that is because I only want one hand control, and then I only want one pelvis. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is set up, right now I'm using Alt-X to go into X-ray mode, is I'm going to use envelopes to give me a good initial setup. So I'm going to click envelopes. Click here and it shows you the envelope. Anything that falls within the green shape gets an absolute value of 1. Everything that falls within the darker green shape is the fall off, just like a brush in Photoshop or ZBrush. You can also select 2 at once. So I'm going to select both of these. I could copy and paste, but it's easier just to do them both at once. And I'm going to scale the radius until it picks up most of the legs. Now, the good thing about the envelope is it grabs everything that falls within it. It's really good to do your initial setup with envelopes, because the vertex level is a lot more tedious. It does give you more control, but it's a lot more tedious, and you want to try and get as much of it set up with this easier way, because as you can see, you know how easy it is to grab all this stuff. And I like to take it into a position where I can see what's not being grabbed. Just scale it until it starts getting that stuff that you want. Now right here it's starting to grab from the body. So I'm going to try and go in here. See if I can't grab it back. Can see the butt's kind of going to hell. So now I'm going to play with, there's two more settings to the, besides diameter. You've got the parent overlap, which throws it towards the bone below, and you've got the child overlap, which throws it to the bone above. So I'm actually going to leave this one alone. Maybe I'll take a little bit of grab some of the parent. That's probably pretty close to what I'm going to be able to get. Now I want to add a animation for the ponytails. I'm going to rotate on local. Auto. So at here. Doesn't look like I'm going to be able to. Yeah, animation's not my strongest suit, but this will allow us to see. Actually, it seems to be messing up more than it's fixing. So I'm going to go into the vertex level. So I hit vertex. Now, here's something important. There's three types. There's deformable vertices, rigid, and root. You want it for, at least for the engines that I've worked with, you want rigid. Then you, after you've selected, you say assign to link and change this to 2 links, and you want to make sure this is set to rigid. So sorry, no blending, because for these I want to actually throw them here for good. Now, one of the cool things is I only have to rig one side, and Martinez, the animator here at Terminal Reality, has written a script that he's graciously put on the internet for anyone to use that will mirror all these, everything from one side to the other. Now sometimes I'll just kind of take everything and assign it in, and then I'll go in and see which ones I actually want. So I'm going to put this one on 2 links. I'm actually going to go in and probably put most of these on 2 links so that this way they're blended. Now I'm going to take all of these and assign it to the head so that it doesn't move. Now I know that these are the settings that I want, so I'm going to select all of them and say lock, and you'll notice they changed from little crosses to little squares, so they can't be changed anymore. So now I'm going to take everything on the head. I don't have to worry about selecting the ones on the back because they're already locked. I say assign, no blending, and they go to the head. Now here's a cool thing. You can go in, specify that you want all of these. Alright, now here's a really cool trick. If you hold down Control and click vertices, it gives you those. When you go back up into Physique with vertices selected, those are the only vertex that you can select. So now I'm going to type in hide, and they all disappear. I'm going to go back up into here, go back into this, and hide that. So now all I have to worry about, since the head's already, it's all assigned where I want it to go. There we go. Now I'm going to go back into vertex mode, and I'm going to try and get the neck assigned correctly. Sometimes I'll hide the wireframe by hitting F4 to make sure I've only got what I want. Now, assign a link, 2 links. I want it to go between neck and chest. We can see what that looks like. Sometimes you got to go back to no blending, specify one of the bones that you want, then go back to 2 links and click the 2. That's kind of like a bug. There we go. Alright, so right now I want to focus on just the upper, so I'm going to hide, hide, hide. Alright, so here's my trouble areas. So here's my ring. It goes for the arm. Assign to link, no blending. Give it to the arm. Here's my link. Goes for the body. Now these might change where they're assigned to in the future, but for now, assign it to here first, and go in and add the clavicle. These ones don't really appear to be in a midway position, so I'm going to find out where they're assigned to. So I'm going to lock and then type in weights, and I can see that they've got a 0, 0, but that I don't quite like that, so I'm going to take the upper arm value. Actually, you know what? I'm going to unlock. These ones get a 3-way between ribs, clavicle, and arm. That gives me a pretty good distance. So now I want to take these ones that are misbehaving too. Now that's a little too extreme for me, so I'm going to lock them, type in weights, and then play around with the values. I think they probably have a little bit too much upper arm. They probably have a little bit too much it seems like they just have a little bit too much upper arm. Go back into select, grab all three of these because they are collapsing too. Lock and find out what's killing them. They actually don't look that bad. I think it's more a case of this one and this one. There we go, that's a lot closer. Alright, so that took way too much. So now I want to take a lot of the upper arm off until they slide back to something a little bit better. The goal is to get everything deforming or as in an average position as possible so that the model doesn't look like it's tearing apart. It's kind of like a balancing act of what works best. You're going to have to play around with like all the positions and see. Alright, so say that looks good. let's say that's how we want the shoulders to deform. It's kind of iffy in this position. Let me see if I can fix that at all. Unlock 3 links. I'm going to add the So I just need to find which one is pulling them down. But you gotta know that it's not gonna be perfect in every direction. Alright, so I think that looks pretty good in all directions. Alright, so you go back into Editable Poly, select all of those vertexes, max script, run script, Martinez, macro mirror weights. I'm going to save this because as cool as Juan is, his tools still crash sometimes. You can get this from Juan Martinez, www.juan2.com, JUANTWO.com. Set it to 0.01, mirror selected. Now, the reason why we did a reset X forms before the animating the model is because these things don't, that his script won't work if the model hasn't been looks like some of it didn't grab. Grab everything. Scripts. Should now have mirrored. It looks like 2 or so of them did not take. Yeah, these 2. So that area looks good. I'm going to say unhide all. Unhide all. So now her legs don't match up. I can grab some of it. Make sure this isn't a big error. Okay, no, they will move if they're signed right. Alright, well I'm going to work with this side. Alright, so here's why we modeled the way we did. Alright, ring 1 goes all the way to the knee, or to the femur. Ring 2 goes all the way to the shin. Ring in the middle does half and half. And what that does is when you've got a bend, bear with me because I know the rest of it's pretty ugly. One sticks and keeps the volume of the upper leg, one sticks and keeps the volume of the lower leg, and one goes in the middle. Now picture the line between here and here without this to keep the volume. Now right now it is squished down here, but these two stay out, causing it to look pretty close to the same volume. With only one, they would have collapsed almost entirely. And I'm going to take all of the vertices up here. And for the time being, I'm going to lock them. Then I'm going to hide them. Going down here. Go back up. So now I can just concentrate on the legs. Sometimes if it's really weird looking like this, it's better to just grab them all, assign them all to there, and then work your way back. So I want all of this assigned to here. I want this and this assigned to here. And then I'm pretty sure that I want the rest assigned as a blend or close to a blend of foot and ankle. And I want all of these assigned to here. Alright, so let's see how that works. Foot keeps its shape pretty well. What isn't working? There we go. Okay, so now it looks like I'm going to have to take this one, this one, this one, lock, type in, and the foot needs more. Alright, so now it should blend correctly. Now let's play with these. Alright, so right now they're a perfect average. That's not what we want. Select this, assign to both. Lock and type in and take off almost all of the thigh, but you leave a little bit. This one I'm probably going to throw back up into the leg to help keep some volume. I'm going to take most of this one off. So what these weights are is, sorry, I should have explained this earlier, is the percentage that each bone controls it. Of a level of 1, the vert will move exactly with the bone. A level of anything lower than that will take it as a percentage of movement when it moves with another bone. So because these ones were assigned to here and to here, to thigh and shin, it's going to travel half and half. Then we adjust so that it doesn't look like a perfect blend of the two. So for right now, I want to save again, go into vertex mode, and I know from here down is good. So bring this back up, mirror selected, make sure all the verts are selected. So, alright, everything here got, there we go, easier to concentrate on. Alright, so unhide all. So right now, I'm going to unhide all. Select from here to here. Invert it, Control I, oop. Invert it, hide those. Take that. Now, there's two reasons for doing all this elaborate hiding. One is for performance. This is just a 1500 poly model, and it works better with them hidden. Some of the models for Blood Rain 2 are in upwards of 5,000 polys, and it just chugs when it's trying to draw lines, wireframe, faces, texture, and then when you go into vertex, you've got all these little lines. It just starts to chug with that many. Two is you can't select any of the other vertices that are up here. So if you go through here, you can select right like this, and you get these two, and it doesn't, there's no chance of selecting up on the ponytail or whatever. So it helps you concentrate, and then also it removes the visual confusion of trying to get the thing to work. Alright, so this is a pretty complicated area. But luckily, with a good bit of modeling, it should work fairly easy. That's one of the things that made me change my modeling methods radically, is when I had to start rigging characters. When you're modeling them in a still pose, sometimes you don't put a ton of polys into a joint because you can hold its shape and make a bicep or make a finger or a knuckle without having to, without it, it still looks good with just those few. But as soon as you start rigging, you find that you need more polys in certain areas. Juan Martinez, our animator, when I started rigging, I rigged one of his models, then I rigged two of mine, and his was a lot easier to rig. So I went back in and changed the way that I modeled. This one's modeled that way. I've got one full ring for the upper leg. I've got one full ring for the pelvis and one full ring for the in-between. It's even better if you can have two for the in-between, but this is a low poly contest, so that's not really going to happen. Take my ring for the pelvis. Alright, so this one, by taking away some of the thigh, I can round out the butt when it's extended. Now some of these, most of the time these lower middle ring, I find that I actually have to change it to 3 links and assign it to this, this, and this. And what ends up happening then is it moves with the problem is that a lot of times it's too much, so I'll go in and reduce it down to like 5. And this one needs even less. So 0.25. 0.25. And this other leg is getting pretty distracting, so save poly. Remember never to select the middle. Here, selected. Alright, so the butt looks good. Time to work on the front. Although this is technically good because it's the average, I find that sometimes I'll take off a little bit of the thigh's influence. I lied. Some of the pelvis influence. Helps keep a little bit fuller form, and then also add some to there, and then take off almost all thigh. Alright, unhide all. So it looks like we've got most of it working out pretty good. The only part that still needs work are the elbows and the hands. So I'm going to go in and take hide. Perfect example. Assign to here. Assign to here. So there's, this will hold this one, the lower arm shape. This one will hold the upper arm shape. And then the middle one to average between the two. Two links. Let's see. Works pretty good, but again, I'll take the like the middlemost one, and I'll take off a little bit of it so that it gets a little bit biased towards one end or the other. Almost done. That doesn't seem right. Alright, looks good. So I'm going to take unhide all. Oops. Save. There we go. Looks pretty good. Alright, so now I can take all of these, delete, back in the home pose, and it is ready for animation. And that's how I rig. Hope that's been helpful.